Hello and welcome to Jackson's Job. Today we're going to show you how to store your yeast or your sourdough starter long term so you don't have to feed it on a daily or even weekly basis. This will keep for several months if kept in proper conditions. The first thing you're going to need is a sourdough starter, and you want it well fed where it's nice and bubbly and at its peak. If it's not looking like this, you want to go ahead and feed it and wait until it gets to this stage. Next, you want to take a small amount and you want to spread it out on parchment paper, a silicone mat, or wax paper in an even and thin as layer as you can get it. And you can do this for the entire container of the sourdough starter. And then you want to put this in a place out of the reach of pets and children. I like to store it in the microwave. That way it won't get any dust as it sets, because it may have to set for several days. I'll show you what it looks like when it's dry and when it's not quite ready. This is one that's been sitting overnight. Ideally, if it is ready, it will break apart easily. But if you can tell that it's multicolored and when you start to break it, it sticks to your finger, it is not ready. Now, some parts of it will be, and you may be tempted to store it, but don't. Here's another example. This is another 12 hours later. You can actually see the starter is fresh underneath. You need to leave it a little bit longer. Here we are a good 48 hours later, and it may be ready. It's starting to break apart really easily, but at any time if it bends, it's not ready. Mold and mildew loves moisture, and you're going to be placing this in a plastic bag or a container, so you really want to make sure this is dried out well. Then you just want to break it up by your hand, or you can even use a blender and make it even finer. And you can blend it as fine as you like it. Once you have it completely blended and it's dried out, you just label it and you want to put it in a cool, dry place. The freezer is ideal, or a cool pantry. I like to use the freezer because you can leave it for months and months. I've had one in there as long as 11 months, but in the pantry I found it only lasts about 3 to 4 months depending on how hot your climate is and how humid it is. When you're ready to bring it back to life, you just need to take it out a few days ahead of time and add it to some fresh water and flour. I like to add about 25 grams each. That's roughly a couple tablespoons. Now at first you won't see a lot of activity. This has been about 8 hours, and as you see, it's not very active. I went ahead and fed it again, and the next day it's really active, and then I feed it a third time, and by the third time I feed it, it is nice and bubbly and ready to go and make your bread. This was a viewer request, by the way. I hope this was helpful for all of you. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy baking.